Okay, direct variation. We are going to continue talking about direct variation. And that goes along with proportional relationships where you have the equation y equals kx, but we can also set up proportions to solve for unknown values. So the first one is, nope, that is too zoomed in. The sales at a baseball game vary directly with the number of people attending. If the sales for a game are $12,000, when 800 people attend, determine how many people attend if the sales for the game are $15,000. So it says the sales vary directly with the number of people. So we are going to put sales over number of people. So let's put this on our composition book. Okay, so sales over number of people. So what was the first situation or the first sales? 12,000. So we're going to do 12,000 is our sales over number of people, 800. We could find our K value just by dividing that, but we're going to find the unknown. So equals, it says determine how many people if the sales for a game are 15,000. So whenever you set up a proportion, you've got to make sure that whenever you decide on your fraction that you stick with that. So remember we had sales over number of people. So the number that we got is sales. So we are going to put 15,000 on top. And we want to know how many people. So that is our X value. That's our unknown. So a way to solve this is cross multiply and divide. So we're going to multiply 15,000 times 800 and divide by 12,000. 15, 1, 2, 3, times 800, then divide by 12,000. Make sure you include the right number of zeros. I almost messed up there.
1,000.
Yep. So X equals 1,000. So then our last step is to make sure that that makes sense. So see, we have 12,000 for 800 people. Does it make sense to have $15,000 for 1,000 people? Yeah, that seems proportionate. With word problems, we have to write our solution in words. So we're going to come over here and we are going to write this in words. If the sales for a game are 12,000 when 800 people attend, determine how many people attended if the sales for a game are 15,000. So we could write if the, or when, let's put when the sales for a game are $15,000, 1,000 people attended. I'm not an English teacher. I think that's the right subject verb present past tense agreement. I don't know. Is it?
Yes.
Sure?
Absolutely.
Sure? All right, let's look at the next one. Ounces of medication vary directly with the weight of the patient. If a 120-pound adult requires 3/4 of an ounce of medication, how many ounces are required for a 200-pound adult? So it tells us, if it tells us how they vary, then we can go ahead and decide what goes on top, what goes on the bottom of the fraction. So this says medication varies with weight. So medication, and I'm going to put OZ for ounces, varies directly with weight. of the patient, and that's in pounds, LB. Okay, so it says 120 pound requires 3/4. So it says ounces goes on top, right? Ounces over pounds. So what was that? 3/4? 3/4 ounce over 120. And we want to know how many ounces for a 200-pound adult. So where will 200 go? Top or bottom? Bottom, because it's pounds on bottom. So X is the number of ounces. That's what we want to find. So cross, multiply, and divide. Even though this is a fraction, you can still do the same exact thing. So you can do the fraction. Alpha y equals to get 3/4 times 200. And then divide by 120. 1.25. And it is in ounces, right? Okay, so since we have a word problem, we have to write our answer in words, so in a sentence. So how can we write this in a complete sentence? What was that? Okay, how about one person?
If 120-pound man.
Okay. A 200-pound adult requires 1.25 ounces of medication. Okay, go ahead and look at the next one. I want you to read it to yourself and do the same thing that we did. I'm going to pause it. Now I want you to pause it and work. Okay, so let's see how you did. So this tells us that number of shares vary directly with the amount of dividends. So number of shares, of shares varies directly with dividends. So the dividend is how much you are making off of those shares. It's your portion. Dividends. Did I spell it wrong? No, I spelled it right. Yeah, dividends. Okay, so this is what I wrote down. I wrote down shares over dividends. So 5 shares earns $12. So X shares earns $24. When you cross multiply and divide, or if you just look here, see how 12, if you double 12, you get 24. So then you can do the same thing here, double 5 to get 10. So you're doubling your shares, which in this case, whenever it's proportional, it doubles your dividends. I wrote my answer wrong, though. It should say 10 shares. Because that's our unknown. How many shares for 24 dividends? So 10 shares. So we need to write it in a sentence. Okay, so how could we write it? How many shares of stock will she need to receive $24?
She needs 10 shares.
Yep. To receive $24 in dividends. Okay, let's go to number 4. Over here. Acreage varies directly with production in bushels of wheat produced. In a 20-acre field, 300 bushels of wheat are produced. At this rate, how many bushels will be produced in a 50-acre field? Do y'all know what a bushel is? It's a way to count some kind of crop. My grandma had a peach orchard when I was growing up. And so she would sell peaches because she lived on, off of a highway. So a lot of people would drive by and she'd sell peaches. And she'd sell them by the bushel. And she would have these big baskets and it'd just be full of peaches. And that was considered a bushel. That's how I knew the word. So it says acres vary directly with bushels. So after you write that down, then you can, or type that up rather. So let's plug in so we can make our proportions. So let's see, 20-acre field, 300 bushels. So 20 acres, 300 bushels. And we want to know at this rate how many bushels will be produced in a 50-acre field. Where will 50 go? Top or bottom? Top, because it's going with acres. Got to know what units of measure it is. So we want to know how many bushels. Just by looking at it, is it going to be more or less than 300? More, yep. So you can cross multiply and divide. Or you can look and see 20 times 2.5 gets you 500. So you do 300 times 2.5. Cross multiply and divide. Go ahead and do that. What'd you get? 750 bushels.
Oh no, 50.
50 acres, 750 bushels. Okay, so that's right. How many bushels will be produced with a 50-acre field? How can we write this in a complete sentence? A 50-acre field, what? Will produce 750 bushels. Okay, let's go to 5. The income of a computer analyst varies directly with the number of hours he works. If the analyst earns $256 for working 8 hours, find the constant of variation. So let's type in what is our variation. What varies with what? So income varies with number of hours worked. So income over hours. And this one just wants to know the constant of variation. It doesn't even ask us to find a missing value. So remember, our constant of variation is going to be found by doing income over hours. So let's write on our paper. Income over hours, which is $256 for 8 hours. So our constant of variation will be found by simplifying this or dividing this. So 256 divided by 8.
32.
32. So what does that mean exactly? Very good. Computer analyst makes $32 an hour. Pretty good income. Okay, equals 32. A computer analyst makes $32 per hour. Because it's 256 for 8, we divided, so that gets our hourly rate. Okay, last one. The gallons of water used to take a shower vary directly with the number of minutes in the shower. If an 8-minute shower uses 48 gallons of water, find the constant of variation. So let's type, what is the variation?
Minutes and gallons.
Gallons of water over minutes in shower. So gallons over minutes. I'm just going to abbreviate. So we have 48 gallons in 8 minutes. So 48 gallons, 8 minutes. So we need to simplify this. What do we get? 6. And what does that represent?
6 gallons.
Yeah, 6 gallons a minute or per minute. Both ways are correct. So we'd say shower uses 6 gallons. Oh, I cannot spell. Gallons per minute. Okay, we are done with our notes. So you are going to complete the assignment that y'all started yesterday. The only one that is kind of confusing would be 15. So 15 will be considered a bonus. Or at least part A is kind of confusing. So 15 part A will be considered a bonus. But part B is required. Talk about the corn muffins and flour. Okay, so you have the rest of the class period to work on this assignment.